Hello, YouTube community. It's Robert S., and welcome to my channel, Robscure Music. I recently had the opportunity to go to a record store in New Jersey. This is Princeton Record Exchange, located in Princeton, New Jersey. They've been there in that location for many years, I think since 1980. They've been buying and selling music and movies, and they've got quite a large selection. And I went in and didn't quite know what to expect. And honestly, I could have spent the entire day there. It's a little bit overwhelming because they've got so many things. They've got records and music on the walls. They've got music in bins. They've got music in boxes on the floor. They've got, things categorized by, rock and roll, metal, oldies, classical, opera, rap, you name it, you can find it, jazz. So I went and saw quite a few discount records, and being somewhat frugal with my spending, I had quite a haul. I got four albums and whole slew of CDs. So I just want to share these with you today, let you see what I picked up. Now these are, like I said, discount. They basically had rows and rows of CDs that were $1.99 to $4.99. And while these might not be the bargains or bargoons, as Doc would say, that you might typically find in a thrift store, these were definitely good values, and I would encourage anybody who is living in New Jersey, living near New Jersey, visiting New Jersey, to go seek out the Princeton Record Exchange. Big selection, good prices. The one downside is I saw it, and again, this is my first visit there, so I don't know for sure, but the parking seemed to be a little bit problematic. Parking on a street nearby, it's kind of hit or miss. We did have to park in metered parking, so you'd feed the quarters into the machine and then go to the record store and realize your half hour, 45 minutes is already up. You got to run out and feed more money into the machine. I think it also took cards, but in any event, it would have been nicer if I could just find some free parking someplace or longer term parking. But having said that, let me show you what I was able to pick up. And let's start with The Sun Story. And this is a compilation of various artists, and you see some of them here in the front. We've got Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, and Elvis Presley. Is that Carl Perkins? Yes, Carl Perkins, and Jerry Lee Lewis. There are many others on this as well. And this is basically, the story of Sun Records is pretty much that, rock and roll itself is sort of when white country music blended with the black rhythm and blues and created this. And Sam Phillips and Sun Records were instrumental in furthering that type of music. And I'll show you the song selection here. Quite a few really good artists and really good songs. We've got Good Rockin' Tonight, Elvis. That's All Right Mama by Elvis. Honey Don't, Carl Perkins. We've got Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lee Lewis. Red Hot by Billy Riley and the Little Green Men, which is an absolutely fantastic song. My gal is red hot, your gal ain't doodly squat. Billy Riley you could arguably say that he sort of started rockabilly. Then you've got Folsom Prison Blues, Johnny Cash, raunchy, whole lot of shaking going on. I Walk the Line, Johnny Cash, Blue Suede Shoes, Carl Perkins, $1.99, excellent value. Then we'll jump to Elvis, the number one hits. Again, $1.99. There are obviously several Elvis compilations out there. I have quite a few myself, but for $1.99, getting 18 number one hits, I'll keep this in my car. Elvis, absolutely fantastic. Next, we'll go to another classic album, Dusty in Memphis. Dusty Springfield's perhaps her best album. Obviously, it includes the hit single Son of a Preacher Man. And this was recorded at the, what they call American Sound Studios in Memphis. Absolutely fantastic. Then I saw this and I just had to pick it up because of the this is actually music inspired by American Graffiti. And if you are someone who listens to Stephen Schnee's Ski Lodge on Tuesday evenings, you'll know that for the month of July, he took a little bit of a break. And our good friend Doc Dacus stepped up to the plate and did Doc's Sock Hop. And his last sock hop is Tuesday, July 26th, which is probably when this is going to go up. And that music obviously was my sort of inspiration for picking this up when I saw it. But you know what? It's a 2 CD set. You've got, 50 songs, original artists, I hope. I mean, original hits, versions, I should say. You've got Love Potion number 9, Teenager in Love, Lollipop, 16 Candles, Lipstick on Your Collar, At the Hop, Party Doll, Get a Job, Bye Bye Love. So many great songs on this. And again, it's music inspired by American Graffiti, not the soundtrack to the movie, has nothing to do with the movie, but it obviously, at the time, took advantage of the renewed interest in this type of music. So nice to have that compilation. Now we'll move on to the Troggs. This is the best of the Troggs. And, obviously I was familiar with their biggest hit, Wild Thing. And, I did listen to this because I know basically 2 songs by them, Wild Thing and then Love Is All Around, which is a far cry from Wild Thing. I do kind of like, With a Girl Like You, but honestly, I'm glad this was only $1.99. This is a British invasion group that, basically a one-hit wonder, if you will. And, I listened to it and it's kind of like, yeah, they know 4 chords and they stuck to them faithfully, basically. Wasn't overly impressed by this, but maybe after a few more listens. But again, $1.99. Next, Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermints. And this is basically a collection of their best, if you will, because as far as hits, I think Incense and Peppermints was pretty much their biggest hit and the song that everybody knows them by. But the Strawberry Alarm Clock, and I've got more music by the Alarm Clock, or SAC as they're referred to often. I've got their first album, which is fantastic. And I've got a a collection of different songs digitally that I downloaded. So yeah, I do the digital thing sometimes. But I saw this and I said, you know what, I need to have it because there are so many good songs on this. And this is your typical 60s inspired music, if you will, psychedelic type of music. But Incense and Peppermints, obviously, absolutely fantastic song. Um, Rainy Day Mushroom Pillow, obviously a very 60s title. Nobody's going to write a song called Rainy Day Mushroom Pillow these days, and nobody's going to play psychedelic music like they play it. Absolutely fantastic. Uh, some highlights on here, honestly: Sit with the Guru, Tomorrow, Barefoot in Baltimore. They do a cover of Good Morning Starshine from the musical Hair. It's not going to make you forget the original version, but pretty decent version of it. Strawberries Mean Love, yeah, it's okay. And then starting out the day, very happy, peppy, positive song. So this is for 10 songs, I think it's a pretty good compilation. They've got so many other great songs though that I wish were on here, but again, for $1.99, I'm not leaving this one at the store. Then we've got The Circle, which obviously, when I saw this name spelled out for the first time in my life, I thought it said The Crickle. and I kind of almost wished that was their name, The Crickle. But in any event, The Circle, I think everybody, is familiar with, and it's right here on the bottom, Red Rubber Ball, a collection. So everybody knows Red Rubber Ball, and Turn Down Day is another hit. But again, so many other great songs. And, I think some of the musically, this is more interesting than, say, the Troggs. And, obviously, Red Rubber Ball. Why can't you give me what I want? How can I leave her? Great. Don't cry. No fears, no tears coming your way. Where Are You Going? Penny Arcade. Even as previously unreleased, Straighten Out My Messed Up Life. Very good. And again, $1.99. Can't go wrong with that. All right, now we'll move to one that was not $1.99. And this is actually something I already have on CD and on vinyl. Love, For Sale. This was their 4th album. Their first 3 are, I consider them classics. Their 3rd album, Forever Changes, is for sure a classic. This 4th album had a different lineup in terms of their band members and a somewhat different sound. I think this one is a little bit more progressive. And I think what happened here is because it was such a far cry from Forever Changes, it may have put off some of their fans. And but Arthur Lee does not disappoint. And in this particular, and the reason I bought this one was because the version I have has the 10 tracks, and this actually has 3 bonus tracks, which are alternate vocals for Robert Montgomery and Talking in My Sleep. And it has an unedited version of Singing Cowboy because the edited version is on this album proper. So remastered and expanded. This opening track, August, one of the absolute best songs Arthur Lee has done. And of all the songs on here, it might have been the one that most likely could have fit on one of the earlier albums. But if you have the opportunity to listen to this song called August, do yourself a favor. It's fantastic. And a little fun fact, if you will, about the group Love. They were originally called the Grassroots, but when the other band named the Grassroots became popular, Arthur Lee decided to change the name to Love. much more fitting and proper name for this fantastic group. Next up, the very best of Cream. Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce, Eric Clapton. Strange Brew, the very best of Cream. You got Badge, which was written by Eric Clapton and George Harrison. Sunshine of Your Love, Crossroads, White Room, Born Under a Bad Sign, Strange Brew. I'm trying to think what it's called. She Was Like a Bearded Rainbow, track number 6. I always have to think about what that stands for. She Was Like a Bearded Rainbow. I Feel Free, Tales of Brave Ulysses. So, again, $1.99. Another one I can keep in my car. Then we move on to the very best of Rare Earth. Rare Earth is a 60s group that was actually signed, or late 60s, I should say, signed to the Motown label. They weren't the first all-white band to be signed to Motown, but they may have been that label's biggest hit makers in terms of, a white artist on the Motown label. Their songs are very much sound like Motown tunes. I think when they first released some of these songs, people didn't realize it was a white band. We've got songs that the print is really small here, but Get Ready. I'm trying to read it myself. I Know I'm Losing You. Born to Wander. Let's see what. Born to Wander. I Just Want to Celebrate. Hey Big Brother. Warm Ride. This has got all their top 40 hits. So $1.99, good find. Buried Treasure, Lost Gems from Deep in the 60s Vault. Now, this one was $2.99, so I have to pull out an extra $1 here, but 2 CD set, and this is basically a compilation of various artists doing songs that you typically are harder to find on CD or an album. Baby Please Don't Go by Troy's Key. 77 Sunset Strip. Like I Love You, Ed Burns. Ed Burns was on the TV show 77 Sunset Strip. He played like a hip sort of parking attendant at the parking lot next to the detective agency on the show. And this is sort of an interesting song. He basically phones up a girl and says, hey, like, you know who this is? It's Daddy, big D, small A, double D, small Y. And she's like, who is this? Is this Jimmy? Is this Chris? And then towards the end, he's like, I forget her name, Monica or whatever, like, can't believe you don't know who it is. And she's like, I'm not Monica. So he doesn't even know who he's talking to. But it's fun. We've also got songs like Johnny Get Angry, Coming Home Baby. 16 Reasons, Connie Stevens. We've got on side 2, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, our good friend Tiny Tim. So Apricot Brandy by Rhinoceros. So happy to have this for $2.99. Next, and now, okay, this is going to be somewhat inspired by the fact that the day before I went to the Princeton Record Exchange, I actually went to the Elton John concert at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So I went to the Record Exchange, and of course, they had quite a bit of Elton. And while I've got maybe 90% of Elton's catalog and things that he's produced. I didn't have this. Elton John, One Night Only. And this is essentially greatest hits performed live at Madison Square Garden in October 2000. And, you got obviously the hits Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Philadelphia Freedom, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Rocket Man, Daniel. The list goes on and on. He has several guest appearances. Kiki D shows up to do Don't Go Breaking My Heart with him. He has Bryan Adams on Sad Songs. Mary J. Blige on, I guess that's why they call it the blues. So nice to have this. Sticking with Elton John, Live at the Ritz, which a limited edition. Ignore this. $1.99. This is one I'm not familiar with. And while there are only 6 tracks, I thought it'd be interesting. I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know what it sounds like. But Daniel, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. Something About the Way You Look Tonight. Take Me to the Pilot. And the last song. $1.99. Again, I'm not leaving it at the store. Nice to add that to my Elton John collection. Then we move to an Australian group, Crowded House, Woodface. And this is, I want to say the third album. I think it was the third album. Contains the single Weather With You. I don't know if Chocolate Cake was released as a single, but I remember having this on cassette years ago. And the cassette may still be around here someplace. But when I saw the CD for $1.99, I'm adding this to my collection. And most people know this group for their hit song, Don't Dream It's Over. So I picked this up, even though it didn't have that. Oops, sorry. And then while I was perusing all the other CDs, I came across this. For $5.99, the best of Crowded House. And this one obviously includes Don't Dream It's Over and Weather With You, plus other hits. And I was tempted to put Woodface back, but I thought, you know what? You've got Chocolate Cake and other songs on here, and it's $1.99. Keep them both. So that fills out some of my Crowded House collection, since I only had one album before. Next, we'll move up a little bit to the 90s, I believe. They Might Be Giants. TMBG. In fact, they're not giants, but they are an American band, basically a duo. Two Johns, and I don't remember their names anymore, but I do remember they were both named John. Anyway, so they basically play alternative sort of geek rock, children's music, but these songs are so much fun and kind of like power pop. They've got all of their hits on here. You've got Istanbul, Not Constantinople, Birdhouse in Your Soul, Anna Eng, The Statue Got Me High, Boss of Me, which is the theme song to the TV show Malcolm in the Middle. Palindrome, Put Your Hand Inside the Puppet Head. Fantastic songs. So, and I had this CD at one point, and must have misplaced it or lent it to somebody and never got it back. So for $1.99, I said, I'm getting this back. Then we move on to the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. And this is probably the most current group that I have from the early 2000s. And I think they actually released an album fairly recently, maybe even this year. I've heard of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I wasn't particularly familiar with them, but for $1.99, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. And I have listened to it. It's pretty good. Some of the songs on here I really like, but I think this might be one that takes a few listens to get, for me to get into it anyway. But if you are a fan of the Pixies, Arcade Fire, I think you would like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. So that's it for my CDs that I bought there. However, I went there with my sister and two of her kids, and when we got back to the house, my sister was sharing some of the CDs she has, and she doesn't have quite as many as I have, but she had one that I guess she didn't want, and she offered to me. Phil Collins, Serious Hits Live. If you're familiar with this album, you'll know it's an excellent album. So, thanks, sis. And then in terms of the albums that I picked up, let's stick with Elton John. And I say albums, I should say vinyl, I guess, because this is a 12-inch single, 45 RPM. It's the song Cold as Christmas in the middle of the year as side A, and then side double A has the song Crystal, and both Cold as Christmas and Crystal came out on the Too Low for Zero album by Elton John. This was released in '83. And also on side double A is a song that is French, and I'm probably going to butcher, but it's something like Jus de la Tendresse. Forgive my French if you know French and I just butchered that. But again, $1.99. Had to have it. I've never seen it before, so it came home with me. And then I saw an album in a box on the floor that I already have, but it's an album I like a lot by Elton John that I don't think gets as much love as it deserves. Soundtrack to Friends, $1. This was a project that Elton and Bernie Taupin got involved in like 1971, just before they kind of hit it big and became famous. And I'm not convinced that their hearts were in it, because what they did was they said, oh, sure, we'll come up with some songs for your soundtrack. And they pulled out two songs that they had already written, one called Honey Roll, and the other one is Can I Put You On? And they said, yeah, let's just give them this for the soundtrack. Didn't quite matter if it fit in the movie or not. But they wrote some other songs. Oh, and the other thing is they wrote some songs for the movie, and then they have two variations on those songs. So it's almost like filler in a way. And then there's a song called I Meant to Do My Work Today, A Day in the Country, which is a spoken word throwaway track. But the song Friends, I mean, this has got, honestly, some of my favorite Elton John sort of tender songs. Friends is an absolutely fantastic song about, how young lovers often start out as friends. Obviously, it's the title of the movie. So we've got that. We've got variation on Friends, Honey Roll, which is a more upbeat, funky sort of song. Theme, The First Kiss, which is an instrumental that is absolutely fantastic, and it blends into the song Seasons, which again is fantastic, sort of tender song by Elton. Then you have variations on Michelle's song, Can I Put You On? Again, sort of upbeat, more rocky type of song, or rocking, I should say, type of song. Michelle's song, which is a very beautiful, again, soft type of song. I meant to do my work today as a throwaway spoken thing. Four Moods. This one is about, I want to say it's about 10 minutes or so. Instrumental, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. And then that sort of blends into Seasons Reprise, which, gets it and Seasons actually, and Seasons Reprise, it sort of ties into that whole, lovers starting out as friends. And I just enjoy this album every time I listen to it, except for that minute and 20 seconds or whatever it is of I meant to do my work today. And then I found an album that I only have on CD. Now, I know you guys know this one. Paul McCartney, Back to the Egg. Getting back to his rocking roots, if you will. This one was $6.99. Let's pull out the vinyl. For those of you who may be familiar with it, we got the egg there. So I was happy to see this in the store. And again, I just knew I had to pick it up. And then finally, the Beatles. This is the oldies but goodies. And this is an interesting album. This is actually the Beatles' first greatest hits album. This was released in December 1966. And 66 was sort of a year, transitional year, if you will, for the Beatles. The Beatles, in the second half of the year, they pretty much had released Revolver, and Revolver was so incredibly different from their prior music that everybody loved. It's a far cry from She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand. And they announced that they were going to stop touring. People started to wonder, is this it for the Beatles? The record company learned that the next album after Revolver, and I think we all know what that is, Sgt. Pepper, that album was going to take some time and it wouldn't be released for several months. And the record company, of course, is used to releasing product, and they wanted to get something out there in the market. So they put together this compilation, and it's essentially singles. And again, this is a UK album. So in the US, Columbia had actually butchered the Beatles albums, and we were able to get a lot of the singles that were released only as singles in the UK on the albums, the Capitol albums. So in the UK, they released this, and it was kind of the first time that some of the singles, like She Loves You and We Can Work It Out, I think, the first time that these were available on an LP, together. And it was also the first time that they had some stereo mixes of songs that were previously issued only in mono. So this is, an official Beatles release. I think it was later removed from the Beatles catalog when they issued these CDs. But I never had this album. I saw it there, $8.99. Had to pick it up. And the other interesting thing about this album is, again, This was released in December '66. And there's the god-awful conspiracy theorists who, buy into the whole, Paul is dead theory. And supposedly Paul died in a car crash in November 1966. And some of the people who promote this type of thing and some of these twisted people went into the albums, they checked out the covers, they looked at the words and the lyrics and put together this whole elaborate thing. This is actually, and I don't think too many people talk about this album in terms of the Paul is dead rumors. This was probably the first one that may have included those clues, if you're inclined to believe that. People looked at this and they said, you've got a car here and, 4 Beatles and only one is in the car. The other 3 are outside of the car. And presumably Paul was in the car by himself and he was in a car crash and lost his head, as they say in the song. And then the other thing is, presumably you look at this figure and say, okay, this represents Paul McCartney. I don't see how you do that, because this whole cover is basically a 60s op art cover that was commissioned by Brian Epstein. And, it's really representative of the Carnaby Street fashions in London, and, people looked at this, and honestly, if you sort of squinted your eyes and looked at it, to me, it's maybe John's nose, Paul's mouth, George's eyes, and Ringo's hair. It's more of a compilation of the Beatles than it is any one Beatle. But the conspiracy theorists said, oh, that's Paul, and here's a car coming to hit him. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it was just strange. And then they went so far as to say, oldies, if you alphabetically advanced these 2 letters, so in the alphabet, the letter that comes after O is P, and the letter after L is M. So if you have PM, or Paul McCartney dies, that's stretching it. And then on the back cover, you've got an image where it seems that Paul is quite some distance from the other Beatles, and they're all in light-colored clothing, and he's in the black garb. And then you've got sort of this smoky sort of image or clouds around him, as if this is, he's not there. This is some apparition. So for you, Paul is dead, folks. Here you go. Anyway, so that's it. It was quite a haul. I did enjoy it, and I will be going back to Princeton Record Exchange at some point. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it took so long to go through all of this. But remember, folks, stay well. And if the music strikes a chord, let it play.